One of the most common things we'll be working with in Integrated 3 is functions. And you need to be proficient with function notation and working with function notation. So here's kind of a typical kind of a situation. You're going to be given a variety of functions, and they'll ask you to find different things. So I've got f of x equals x minus 3 over 2, g of x is negative 2 times x minus 4 squared, h of x equals the square root of the quantity of x plus 4. And they're going to ask you to find different things. So recognize the difference. Sometimes you're going to be evaluating a function, sometimes you're going to do some solving. So, one example, like g of negative 1. Okay, so notice how I took and replaced this x with negative 1. I'm going to replace the x with negative 1. So I'll get negative 2 times negative 1 minus 4 squared. Now I just got to evaluate it. So I get negative 5. Negative 5 squared is 25 times negative 2 is negative 50. So it tells me which function to use. And that's the advantage of function notation. It tells you which one you're supposed to use. If this is written as y equals, and that was written as y equals, and h was written as y equals, I wouldn't know which one to plug into. F of 8. Okay, so I got to take 8, and I plug in the function that's called f. Well, I get 8 minus 3 over 2. I get 5 halves. You can get fractions, decimals, all kinds of different answers. It's possible you get no solution. You got to be careful, that we don't have something that might be an error that might be occurring. Now this one's a little different. It says find x when h of x equals 5. Now the temptation is, I'll plug in 5 and get the square root of 9, get 3. It says now right here what I'm going to be doing is I told that h of x equals 5. So if h of x equals 5, it's like having 5 is equal to square root of x plus 4, because h of x equaled 5. Well, I'm going to be solving this. So if I have to find x, that's when you have to solve. So we square both sides, subtract 4, I get x equals 21. Now, be careful on this next one. I want to find x when g of x equals negative 8. So again, I'll go over here, and I'll replace my g of x with negative 8. So I got negative 8 equals negative 2 times x minus 4 squared. Now I'm going to solve this. So I'm going to first divide by negative 2. And now this is where you have to be careful. I'm going to take the square root. When I take the square root, I got to consider the possibility that I have 2 positive numbers squared or 2 negative numbers squared. So I get plus or minus 2. So I'm going to get 2 answers here. Either I get 2 equals x minus 4, or I get negative 2 equals x minus 4. Well, I can add 4 to both sides. I get x equals 6 for this case. And in this case, if I add 4, I'll get x equals 2. So some of the biggest issues might be just solving techniques you have to worry about. But know how to work with the functions. That's the main point of this particular problem. Know when you're supposed to plug in and knowing when you're solving. You plug in when you see f or g of something. And you're solving when it says find x when the function. So if you see x when, you know you got to do some solving.